Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent black people. A lot of you may or may not know about, you probably know the first name, you may not know the second name, but there's a guy named Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey is a pretty well known financial guru. He's not black, but he's got a southern audience, and he's pretty conservative, and he's a smart guy. He does a lot of interesting stuff. Well, Dave has this brother. There was a black dude by the name of Chris Hogan, who was Dave Ramsey's number two. Give me a yes or no if you've heard of Dave Ramsey or Chris Hogan or both. Say Dave, Chris, or both based on who you know. If you know both of them, say both. If you know Dave Ramsey, say Dave. If you know Chris Hogan, say Chris. Because the thing is, I wanted to kind of talk about it because I was sort of reading up on what was going on, and it was really interesting. Dave Ramsey, in case you don't know, he runs I think it's called Ramsey Solutions or Dave Ramsey Solutions or something like that. And this company is massive. I didn't know how big this company was. I heard they have 1,000 employees or something, or hundreds of employees, which that sounds like a million headaches. But either way, Dave Ramsey has a great system and a great setup, and he does a good job with a lot of financial conversation and advice. Some of the advice I think is great. Some of it, some of it is objective or subjective. How about that? You can take it or leave it. We don't agree on everything, but in general, I think he's good for the world. No question about that. Well, Chris Hogan, I was surprised to see Chris Hogan on Dave's platform. Not because I think Dave is some raging racist or anything. That ain't it. I don't. I don't really. I'm kind of done sitting around being mad at what white people are doing. I'd rather focus on what we're doing, right? But Chris, kind of became pretty prominent on Dave's platform, and he was on Dave's platform all the time. Like, I want to say almost every day. It seemed like he was always doing stuff, and Chris has a lot of good energy, and he's a really, strong, vocal, intelligent guy, and everything else. And so lo and behold, and I remember saying to my brother, I said, I wonder how that's going to work out. He's really got Chris Hogan out there. Chris is really good. How's that going to work? Because I've seen situations where people have tried to work together in a scenario like that, and just something might go wrong. Maybe somebody gets greedy and they start wanting all the money, or there's a conflict, and next thing you know, somebody's bashing somebody else on the internet or whatever. And I've seen that. I've seen that enough to where I don't even like to necessarily try to do things like that. I'd rather just support people in whatever they're doing, as opposed to, like, you know too much platform sharing and all that. That's just really a real headache. Well, lo and behold, as much as I thought Dave had figured it out, he hadn't. Next thing I know, Chris Hogan is fired. Chris Hogan's gone, and I was like, "What happened? Why did he get fired?" Well, basically, here's what happened. So, Chris was, I guess, Chris was having an affair on his wife, and his wife went to the company and told the company, if I'm not mistaken, this is what, from what I've heard, this is what I remember reading. She told the company that my husband's having an affair on me. And now Dave Ramsey Solutions, they are a Christian organization. So they have these interesting rules that you have to follow to work there. And among those rules are, you can't cheat on your spouse, and you can't have premarital sex. Like, you can't if you get caught sleeping with another person and you're not married to them, then you can get fired. And in fact, a woman had been fired for getting pregnant before marriage. And so with Chris Hogan, here was the dilemma they ran into. Um, sometimes running a business doesn't lend itself well to all your extracurricular social values. It may not lend itself well to all these other rules you want to tack on to whatever it is you're trying to do in business. Um, it's so basically, Dave Ramsey Solutions was in a weird dilemma. They were like, man, we've got this multi-million-dollar brand, Chris Hogan, that we've invested heavily in. He's about to do a book tour or something that they had going on, and and now people are saying we need to fire him too, because he has a penis and he's using it, and he's not using it in a way that we sanction. People like to control everybody else's bodies these days, I guess, and tell you who you're supposed to be sleeping with. Which I'll tell you the truth, I'm not into that. I just truly don't care. Whoever you're having sex with, just don't be doing nothing weird. Like, don't be trying to sleep with no kids and, or animals and stuff, or even animals. I don't even care about that. I'm not saying I cheer it on. I don't. I just don't care. I just don't care. That's the point. Do you understand what I mean? I don't give a shit. Like, do you, man? Just keep me out of it, right? So this idea of kind of legislating other people's behavior, and these are grown ass people. These are adults, man. These are not 8-year-olds. These are grown ups who have freedom to do whatever they want. Why are you trying to tell people who they need to be sleeping with? That's a recipe for disaster. Because I told you, you can't outsmart God and Mother Nature. You can't. God invented sex. Mother Nature invented this process of mating that human beings do, and it is important because that's why we exist. Without the mating process, we would not be alive. And so when you get to the point where you're trying to stop the flow of life, like in Jurassic Park, there's a guy who said, "Life will always find a way. Life will always find a way." And what he meant by that is, you can try to play God. Like, you could try to say, well, you're not allowed to have sex with that person. But God, life will find a way. It's going, you can't stop it. But you have it all the time when people try to control their children and control other adults and all that. And so that's one area where, I get it, right? You want to be a Christian, you want to be true to your Christian values. I think that's very important. Um, Maybe practice that in your own life, and then maybe make recommendations to people and offer support. Like, hey, if you ever want to get over your desire to sleep with women or whatever it is you're doing, um, I can offer I can offer support and more counseling and whatever to help you overcome that. But I think when you try to legislate that, you're gonna have a problem. Now, before we move on, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button. Please subscribe to this platform. That's really, really important. And also, if you ever want to support the platform, you can go to intelligentblackpeople.com. That's our Patreon, and we have free stuff we give away and exclusive content, things like that. So feel free to go to intelligentblackpeople.com. Now, back to Chris Hogan and Dave Ramsey. So there's a little bit more to it. So Chris's wife goes to the company and says, "Look, I'm gonna snitch on this dude, and I'm gonna go and I'm gonna mess up his whole situation, right?" And that's why I think it is important to be thoughtful about who you marry, because you shouldn't really evaluate your partner just on how they treat you when they love you. You should evaluate them on how they treat you when they're mad at you. So there are some people, who get mad at you, and they'll go deal with you. They'll talk to you. They'll scream at you, maybe cuss at you. But then there's people who won't just do that. They will try to destroy you. They will try to take everything good you got going on in life, anything you got going on anywhere, and they will ruin it. There's that man out there, ladies. There's that sexy, handsome man with who's good in bed, who's gonna love you to death. But the minute he finds out that he can't get what he wants, he's gonna come to your job. He's gonna pee on the floor, and he's gonna cuss out your boss. He's gonna punch out your coworker and get you fired. Like, seriously, like, there are people out there like that. I knew a guy, well, not a guy. I didn't know this person directly, but there was a situation where there was I have a friend of mine who lives in one of these snooty suburbs, and she lived across the street from this lady who was a corporate type, high flying black woman, had the big money and everything, but she wanted a husband, right? And she couldn't find the right kind of man, so she did what I guess any rational person might do. She started exchanging letters with a dude from prison. And he, and no disrespect. I mean, I love my guys in prison and everything else. But when you locked up, you got plenty of free time, right? So he had plenty of free time to write her letters and give her lots of attention. And of course, he's like, "I love you," blah blah blah. So she falls in love, and they get married as soon as he gets out. So now the problem is, unfortunately, we live in a country where it's not as easy to get jobs and things like that when you've been formerly incarcerated. And he wasn't one of those like turnaround cases. You have those brothers that get locked up for a while, but they come out, they're better people, upstanding citizens, doing wonderful things in the world. He wasn't in that category. He wasn't in that like success story category. He was a dude that sat around, with the wave cap on and the wife beater, smoking a joint, and waiting at home all day for her to come home from work. So in this snooty neighborhood he lives in, one of their neighbors sends them another black family sends them a Christmas card and says, "Merry Christmas, and sends a picture of their family. And they're little, those little corny Christmas cards where people put pictures of their family and stuff. I don't do those things, but I've seen them, and and the guy, I guess, overreacts to the Christmas card, and he goes over to the neighbor's house and he bangs on the door like the police, like bang, 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 bang. And they answer the door like, "Hey, what's going on?" And he holds up the Christmas card. He's like, "Man, what the f is this? What the f is this?" Right? And he's like, "It's a Christmas card." And he was like, "Don't you be sending my woman pictures of yourself? don't be sending my woman no like." It was really really funny. So anyway, my point is to say that you've got people. You got to really think about who you let into your life, because it's not just how people deal with you when they like you and when they're happy with you. You got to also think about how people deal with you when they're not happy with you. Some people deal with things with class, some people don't. Some people will show their whole entire ass. So keep that in mind. So anyway, so apparently Chris Hogan's wife was really mad about this whole affair thing, and from what I just saw in the video, she went and told the people of Ramsey Solutions he cheated, so he doesn't deserve to work here, right? Go mess up the whole family's multi-million-dollar situation because she mad. Okay, fine, whatever. Well, because Dave Ramsey Solutions got on that weird high horse of firing people for having sex before marriage, they were in that dilemma, like, do we lose millions of dollars because we're trying to stick by our principles, or do we bite the, or do we just kind of work it out another way? So what they did was they made some sort of plan, like we're going to check in on you, and you're going to have to report to us, and we're going to help pray our way through it all. Yeah. I'm just going to tell you the truth. I don't believe some of that stuff is kind of weird to me, but that's what they did. Well, that led to a big lawsuit. There was a big lawsuit. Remember, this is y'all know me. I'm not just Dr. Boyce. I'm also Uncle Boyce. So when Uncle Boyce is in the room, sometimes him and Dr. Boyce, I know I'm talking about myself in the third and even the fourth person. So I'm especially weird for doing that. But there's a reason for that. Dr. Boyce and Uncle Boyce come into the room together to give you financial knowledge from a real life perspective, to talk about real life stuff that links into your financial situation. So I hope that that's okay. Give me a yes in the chat if it's okay for me to continue the story and to still be loved. Because some of y'all might be like, why is he talking about that? Well, because it's life, man. Because life is what gets in the way of you making money. like if you don't understand that, then you ain't lived no life yet. So so anyway, so the point, so basically they got sued big time. They had all these, they had two or three women that were like, yo, wait a minute, wait, hold on, wait, stop the bus. You're telling me that you fired me because I got pregnant and I wasn't married, but you're giving this guy all kinds of outs and opportunities and exit strategies and counsel, therapy and counseling, Christian counseling, right? And now here's the reality of it all. Here's where real life steps into. Real life don't care about your agenda. Real life is going to just be real no matter what. The universe is always going to keep it real with you, even when you're lying to yourself, even if it hurts your feelings. And so the real life of all of this is this. It's very basic. Chris Hogan is a multi-million-dollar brand, and you ain't. That's what I mean. That's what he is, a multi-million-dollar brand. So that is so there's no scenario in real life anywhere where a multi-million-dollar asset is going to be treated the same as a $10,000 asset. It just doesn't work that way, right? That's the real life aspect of it. But because, again, in almost like a Derek Jackson kind of way, they had created this artificial fantasy world that was difficult to maintain. When you create an artificial environment, it takes a lot of work to maintain that environment. Like on a spaceship, you're creating artificial oxygen and artificial gravity. Well, it takes billions of dollars and lots of science and lots of manipulation, moving and shaking to kind of maintain this artificiality, because it ain't real. It ain't space. Space is natural, but artificial oxygen generating, gravity generating environments in space are not natural. So when in your life, when you create an artificial environment, like the way Derek Jackson did, the artificial environment, like, I'm a perfect man, I would never ever do anything wrong because I'm so wonderful and perfect. And any man who ever does something that you don't tell him to do is obviously a weak, pathetic human being. Or Dave Ramsey, if you have sex before marriage and you get pregnant before you're married, then we are going to fire you because we're wonderful, perfect Christians, and that's our goal, is to be perfect. Well, when you do that, it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you because that bubble is easily popped, just like a space shuttle where somebody leaves the bay door open and all the vacuum of space sucks all the oxygen out and there's a complete disaster. Well, the same thing is true when you create an artificial environment in your life. That bubble easily pops. It pops as soon as a little bit of reality seeps in. The whole thing falls to shit. So Dave Ramsey now, unfortunately, as smart as he is, and as great as his company is stuck in the middle of these crazy lawsuits, probably for millions of dollars, because people love to sue and they sue for lots of money, especially if you have money. And all of it, I believe, could have been prevented by simply not trying to legislate the lives of grown ass people. I do not believe in controlling the lives of other adults. I just think that that's kind of silly, especially on something like sex. Like if you say, look, you can't smoke crack on the job or you'll get fired. I get that, right? That's easy. It's not hard to stop that sort of process. It's not like the crack epidemic is so strong that you're going to have to deal with a lot of that. But when you try to legislate something like sex, are you kidding me? Are you joking? And Chris Hogan's famous. He's got he's getting stuff thrown at him everywhere because y'all know the church can have some of the most ratchet behavior in America, like because that's where you get all the suppressed sexuality is in the church. When people try to pretend like it ain't real, the more you try to suppress who you really are, the more that person is going to show up in highly unexpected, highly uncomfortable ways. I that the best advice I can give everybody in here is find a way to love and accept who you are, and find a healthy, socially acceptable way to express who that person is. Don't deny that. Don't lie to yourself, because I do believe that when you pretend to be something that you're not, it just almost seems to never really work. And so so to kind of close up on Dave Ramsey and Chris Hogan and all that, as of right now, they're stuck in the middle of these lawsuits. Um, Chris is gone from the network. Chris was Dave's number one black dude, and he seemed to treat him well and everything. It wasn't no racism thing. His wife, decided she wanted to, kind of blow up their whole spot because she's upset. And what's interesting too. Oh, and by the way, if you want to know, Chris, and I kind of suspected this. Chris's wife is not black. Chris's wife, he married Becky or Karen or something, and I don't know her name. As far as I'm concerned, her name's probably Becky. Maybe it's not though. But anyway, so so Chris's wife, who's not a black woman, blows up his spot and got Chris on the internet apologizing. And let me just say this: I remember what Dave is doing reminds me of what Henry Ford used to do. Henry Ford, because he made a lot of money, felt that he had the right to. Oh, her name's Melissa. See, that's pretty close. Becky, Rebecca. Can you? I mean, seriously, think about it. Can you imagine having lunch, like a lunch with where Becky and Rebecca meet Melissa? Like that sounds like a nice white girl lunch, right? Doesn't it? Doesn't I mean, right? So it kind of fits in the same genre of like names. Not that you're. I'm sure there's some black people in here named Melissa too, so I'm not dissing you, but you get my point. So, but the thing is that it's Henry Ford used to do that. Henry Ford used to believe that because he paid his employees well, he had the right to control their lives, like to tell them that I better not catch you drinking or smoking. You better have your house better be clean. I'm not kidding. This was real stuff. Look it up. He used to go and inspect their houses, and if your house was filthy, you could get fired or laid off, or they put you on some sort of improvement plan. And I didn't like that when I heard that. And so what I think is a better model is one where you can help people without pressuring them, right? Like for example, in my organization, we don't have 1,000 employees. My God, I wouldn't want to manage that many headaches. That's just too many situations, too much drama. But in my space, we have values. We have core values. Our core values are that we believe black people should educate our own children, create our own jobs, and support black businesses. And we also expect you to honor and respect all the people that come through the black business school, the people that support the school. You got to put black people first, be one. And so we have basic values like that, and we do enforce those values, right? But we don't enforce them in a way where we're trying to regulate how people live their lives. Like I don't really know anything about all my team members. I know nothing about who they're sleeping with. I know nothing about if they get pregnant. I say, and they tell me, I say congratulations. I don't care if you're married or not married. So I really think I don't even know people. I got people on my team that use drugs, and as long as you ain't using drugs on the job and messing up your job, then I don't care. And I honestly think that that's actually a better approach. I really think legislating the lives of adults is not going to work. And so, I'll say this. Eric Bowie says Chris Hogan will be fine. He just has to find himself outside of Dave Ramsey, which he can. He absolutely can, right? So he's going to be fine. He's going to do well. Now, don't get me wrong. Being on Dave Ramsey's platform, though, he really catapulted Chris. And I know he has his own YouTube channel, but because there's so many contracts and things like that with Dave Ramsey Solutions, there's no telling. Maybe he can't even use that YouTube channel. You just never know what the contract is. And also, if he's still married to Melissa, then he's still gonna have to handle that, right? So what's to say that in the next situation that he gets into, if he ever does, if he gets in another entanglement, is Melissa then going to go try to destroy his life? And I'll say this. And Sade says the facts are that he cheated, so him losing his job is on him, not the wife. I hear what you're saying for sure, but I will say this. I've known men who have been really disappointed in being mistreated by their spouse. Maybe the wife didn't cheat. I'm a believer in terms of real life that I don't believe when women mess up in relationships, it's not usually through something like cheating. It's not through, I have found that, cheating or just cheating or, because somebody's attractive or whatever is more of a masculine behavior. Doesn't mean women can't cheat. We know women cheat, all the time. But typically when I hear about women cheating, there's a more complex reason. Like I felt disconnected emotionally from my husband, this, that, and the other. And I've seen men who cheat just because it's Tuesday, who just get into situations because she looked good. I love my wife, but that girl over there looks really good. And this ain't got nothing to do with love. Love ain't got nothing to do with it. So I'm not saying it's yes or no. And women and men can do the same thing. So I'm not judging that part. But what I will say, though, is that I have seen men get really angry at their wives who did something blatantly disrespectful. Maybe she was mean to him. Maybe she nagged the hell out of him. Maybe she neglected him. Maybe she wouldn't sleep with him. Maybe she embarrassed him in front of other people and committed some other because we don't talk enough about that. We don't talk about the things women do in relationships outside of cheating that are harmful to relationships. Stop acting like women are angels. Stop acting like women are always the victim. Stop acting like women are perfect and men are not. That is not true. Y'all know it ain't true. Y'all know, give me a yes or no if you follow what I'm saying. Y'all know that there are some women who may not cheat, who will be faithful as hell, but who will be the most abusive, nasty, disrespectful people on the planet. Give me a yes or no if you understand that. So here's my point. If I had a guy that came to me and he said, "Man, she ruined our relationship because her behavior was just unacceptable. And here's what she did. She did this, and this." And then if the guy's like, "Yeah, so to teach her a lesson, I'm gonna go get her fired from her job. I'm gonna go to her job and I'm gonna tell her boss what kind of person she is, and I'm gonna blow up her whole situation." I would be like, "No, man, don't do that. You don't do that. That's not cool. That says more about you than it does about her. It says more about you and your ability to move on and your insecurities than it says about her behavior." So remember, you can't control what people do to you. You can't control. I mean, all of us. Give me a yes and no in the chat. Also, if you've ever just had your heart broken, and really had somebody just step on your soul and do something just funky dirty to you, where literally, if there was a court of love, they would have got convicted and they would have got the death penalty. Give me a yes in the chat if you've ever gone through something like that, because I know I have. I know I have. I can think about 12 years ago. I dated a nice, beautiful woman. At that time, I was doing a lot of public stuff, so I would go different places. I would meet beautiful, intelligent Black women, and every now and then I would date somebody. And I dated this girl. I liked her a lot. She never asked me for a commitment, but I wanted to commit to her because I was like, I don't want to be a player. I don't want to run around in the streets with 1,000 different women. That's not fun for me. I like to have deep, meaningful connections with the woman that I'm with. And she was pretty. She was smart. She had a banging body. We had a good situation. So I was like, okay, let's date. Well, I don't think that that's where she was. And we did it, and I think she just went along with it because she felt like like, oh, I shouldn't say no to Boyce Watkins, right? I don't know, like sometimes that happens. I have no idea why, but anyway, so one day she just tells me out of the blue, like, I don't want to do this no more, and literally no explanation, no nothing. She just didn't want to do it anymore, and I was dumb. Like literally in 10 minutes, my relationship disintegrated right in front of my very eyes. And here's the deal.
I remember sitting there thinking, man, this is some bull crap. Like, how can you do this to somebody? Like, I didn't do anything wrong. And then I realized, like, boys, she don't owe you nothing. She doesn't owe you a relationship. And also, there's more fish in the sea. The best thing you can do now, the worst thing you could do is to try to change her mind, fight her, and say, "Oh, I'm gonna ruin your life," because she had a good corporate job. I guess I could have went crazy and went to her job and cussed out the office manager and whatever and got her fired. Because I mean, think about it. I'm Boyce Watkins. I have reach. I can call. I could ruin her reputation. I can, like you can do a lot of stuff if you want to. But I was like, no. The best thing for you to do is move on. Best thing for you to do is pack your shit, leave her place, wish her well, thank you for your time, and move on. That way you can get to healing instead of being a dramatic little bitch and mad because somebody else is moving on and they're happy. Like seriously, like people that do vindictive behavior, if you see somebody that you're thinking about dating and you catch them in any form of vindictive behavior, or they tell you a random story, oh yeah, I had to go cut his tires, or yeah, I had to go, I had to choke her, I didn't want to choke her, but I only had to choke her one time because what she did was unacceptable. You need to walk away from people like that. Vindictive people are tiny people. Vindictive people are unbalanced people. Vindictive people are not productive people. Vindictive people don't know how to be good professionals. Vindictive people do not have, they're insecure. They don't know how to move on. Because if you know that there is other good fish in the sea, then you just move on and you heal. And you know what happened? Let me tell you, I'm going to end this story with you about this girl. This is true. This is real life. This is a true story. This is not me making things up. I met like a lot of great women the same, like within 2 weeks. Like, like it took time to heal, but literally that month, I was right back in the game. Right. And but if I had sat around mad and angry, like, oh, I'm gonna get her back and I'm gonna go make sure she pays a price for what she did to me. How dare she do that to me? I would have stayed stuck in that place. So don't be stuck. Keep it moving. Shit, life sucks sometimes, but you got to know how to move on. That's just my 2 cents. And then also learn how to move on past people who don't know how to move on. If you once you figure out how to move on, get with somebody else who knows how to move on, so that you can just say, you know what, damn, I'm sorry this didn't work out, but I respect you and I appreciate you and I thank you for your time, and I will really truly wish you the very best, and that's it. So that's my 2 cents. But what do I know? I'm just running my mouth. Well, I got to go to the dentist. So you guys have a good day. Please hit that thumbs up button before you go. Thumbs up, share, subscribe. IntelligentBlackPeople.com so you can support the platform. I'll see you guys a little bit later on today. Peace.